Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Faith Builder. Happy Tuesday morning. Hope you are well this morning. We are looking at this idea this week out of Philippians chapter 3, verses 7 through 21, that our hope, our longing for wholeness and health is all connected to the hope of our resurrection, our physical body, the wholeness of our body, God's complete work in our lives of bringing us and making us whole. That's what we've been looking at this week. So let me just start by asking this morning this question: are you reaching your full potential? Now, what do we mean by that question? We hear it all the time. Are we reaching our full potential? Well, the reality is, what does that mean? How do we even know what our potential is? Well, the only one who really knows our full potential is Christ, is our Creator, is God, our Father. And it's only in pursuit of Him, the perfect person, Jesus, obviously, who came and showed us what perfect health, what perfect wholeness looks like, whereas we're to follow after Him. And so I just want to read for us again this morning, Philippians chapter 3, verse 10, Paul's heartbeat, and break down a little bit of this for us in verses 10 and 11 this morning. These wonderful lines, you hear his heartbeat, his desire, his longing for wholeness, his longing, right, to be one with Christ and to reach his full potential in what Christ created him, saved him to be, right? And he says this, verse 10, that I may know him, that is Christ, in the power of his resurrection, and may share in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, that by any means possible I may attain the resurrection from the dead. Now, let's just break this down quickly here this morning. Paul says first, that I may know him. This is, again, not just an intellectual knowledge. For Paul, there was no such thing. The intellect was intimately connected to the heart. Again, it was a holistic understanding that his feelings, emotions, everything was experiential and intellectual. The whole bit, to, again, back to the Shema of the Israelites, to love the Lord with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, the entire being. Only in the West have we dichotomized, have we split apart this idea of intellectual knowledge and experiential knowledge. Nowhere in the Bible, in the Jewish mindset or in the Bible, was this ever to be. It was to be a holistic. And so he begins with this idea, I long that I may know Christ. And it says, in the power of his resurrection. What was it Paul longing for there? What was a present thing, Paul in this life, where we haven't been resurrected yet, is Paul wanted to experience the power, that same power that raised Jesus from the dead. Well, how did that manifest? Two ways. One, Paul wanted to experience that resurrection power in his own life, to transform his own life and gain victory, to see his own life be conformed to Christ in this life. And in turn, for Paul to experience active ministry with the Holy Spirit, to actually live and experience and to partner with the Holy Spirit, the resurrection power in ministering to others, and to see mighty things. People come to, it's only by the resurrection power that, again, that people are saved, that people are healed. And that is what Paul longed for. It was the reality to see that power in his ministry, in his church, in his teaching, etc., etc. And so should we. And he says that I may share in his sufferings. Whoa, okay, now what does that mean? Well, for Paul, he was told from the very beginning that he was going to that Jesus says, I'm going to show him how much he must suffer for me. Well, around the world today, China, Iran, other places, our brothers and sisters are greatly suffering for the cause of Christ. But here, our suffering is pretty minimal, if any. But the other aspect of suffering, if we're truly obeying Jesus, is there is a sense of taking hold of bearing up our cross, which means taking hold of the cause of Christ. It means bearing up one another's burdens. This means ministry to each other. It means serving each other. And that is bearing a load. There is a suffering to join in the mourning of others and serving with others. Ministry is hard work if it is done well and sacrificially. And we see again the early church modeling this for us. And he says he wants to become like him in his death. Well, it tells us earlier in this book in Philippians, Paul says, I want to glorify God even with my death. And this is something, again, our American discipleship has a massive deficit. We've not taught each other in the church how to die well, how to live well towards the end. The older we get, the more passionate and more really risk-taking we should be. It's the old folks, gray hair like mine, in the church that should be the most radical, most risk-taking, because we're the closest to the kingdom, right? But that's not the case. So we need a revolution when it comes to understanding what this means, that we become like him in his death. We want our death to count. We want to go out with a blazing glory, right? We want it all to count and to live for him. And we only die once, right? We only have that opportunity once. And then he says that by any means possible, I may attain the resurrection from the dead. So Paul is longing for the completion, the full potential of everything that God had for him to be, to come about on that day, where we all will be resurrected and given a new body, a spiritual body, an eternal body, right, to live for him. So I hope this encourages you this morning. God bless.